because I guess we've also then got to be careful not to be telling stories where we're getting someone to simulate. For example, a lot of sales training is based around this idea of making the buyer feel loads of pain and then giving them a solution. Now, my experience, having experimented with all kinds of different sales techniques and training and all this, is if you make someone feel really bad, they feel really bad, and then you've got to try and shift their emotions from one place to another. It's far easier to go into a conversation being upbeat, perhaps storytell and use positive case studies, as opposed to, again, this might be considered more manipulative of, this is the worst thing that's going to happen, there's this, and this. And I find that leads to then buyer's remorse as opposed to a happy customer on the other end of it. So is there anything that we, with regards to everything that we've spoken about so far, Lisa, is there anything that we should avoid doing to stop people getting into a bad emotional state, as opposed to what we've talked about so far is trying to get people into a good one?
Yeah, well, I think there are a couple of things, Will, that come to mind. And I'm going to talk to you as a scientist, but I'm also going to talk to you as a consumer, right? I'm the kind of person who has relationships with the people that I buy things from. So, and I'm very loyal, actually. So I will always go back to the same shop, even if something's a little more expensive there. Not like exceedingly expensive more, but just even if it's a little more, I'll go back to that place because I know that person is going to help me in the long run, right? If I trust that person, I'm much more likely to buy from that person. I'm much more likely to take a risk that I normally wouldn't take with a purchase and so on. I think you have to understand what your goal is, what your goal is as a salesperson. Is your goal to make a sale in that moment? Is that the goal, or is the goal to build a relationship with a customer where you will make sales over time to that person? I'm sure sometimes it's one and sometimes it's the other, but you have to think about, what is your goal? Is it a short-term goal or a long-term goal? That's the first thing that will help you. And then the second thing is, remember that your brain, the brain of a person, your brain, my brain, everybody's brain is guessing what negative feelings mean. Those negative feelings aren't emotions. When your body budget is flush, you feel good. When your body budget is taxed, you're running a deficit because maybe you're thinking really hard, or you're physically taxed in some way. You know, what is stress? Stress is just your brain preparing for a big metabolic outlay. That's it. Cortisol is not a stress hormone. It's a hormone that gets glucose into your bloodstream because your brain is predicting you have a big metabolic outlay. That can mean dragging your ass out of bed in the morning. That can mean going to the gym, or it can mean just learning something new and having to kind of reason your way through a complicated purchase. Your brain doesn't know what the negative feeling is about. It has to guess. That customer can guess it's you. So you have to be really careful when you create a negative feeling in someone, because they might attribute the cause to you as opposed to the scenario that you created. So let's say you want someone to simulate negative consequences in order to avoid them. I would do that by inviting them to do it with you. To say, if you really think that this is an important thing to do, you say, can we do a thought experiment? I want us to imagine this kind of a future. Let's imagine these things happen. You know, so you're basically inviting them to be in, to take a little imaginary journey with you. This is something that human brains do exceedingly well. We can simulate into the future, simulate into the past. That's called memory, right? So imagination and memory are both based in exactly the same computation, which is this simulation, ability to conjure experience independent of our immediate circumstances. And one of the reasons why we have so much trouble staying in the present is that our brains are very, very good at mental time travel. So you can invite your customer to do mental time travel with you. And you can invite them, if you present, I'll just say for myself, if somebody presented their product to me as the only solution to a problematic outcome, I probably wouldn't believe them
Mhm.
because there's always more than one. You want to create the context for the person to come to that realization themselves that yours is the best solution. If you try to just tell them that, they might believe you, but they might not. The thing is, if they come to it themselves, they will be more satisfied with the purchase afterwards.